Malvern Books. This is Malvern's. Is that microphone still on? I feel like I'm echoing.
Because we're in this little corner.
We are. I'm not used to sitting down and. But welcome to Malvern Books. This is our monthly chat session with called Malvern's Multiverse, and it's where I talk to people around the city and who are involved in the poetry world and stuff, and we discuss poetry and publication and book selling and all kinds of other fun things. Tonight, our guests are Schandra, Madha, and Annar, Veröld. They are the creators and hosts of Ice Cream Social, which happens once a month here at Malvern Books. And before I say too much more or anything more, why don't you guys tell me what Ice Cream Social is and how long it's been around?
This is your idea, so like everyone here probably knows or likely knows that Schandra and I used to work here at Malvern, and I just remember we were hanging out one day and I was like, let's get some ice cream in here. How can I get some ice cream? And it was before I cut sugar, so now it's like a monthly reminder that I do not eat what I dish. But sincerely, we were like working here. You see so many amazing events going on, but it still felt like, despite finding my tribe in the sense of like meeting other like eccentric creatives and writers, I was like, where are like the like really cool girls that write poetry and have interesting voices? And so Schandra and I were like, let's do it. And we asked Joe and Becky if we could host a series here, and that was 2.5 years ago, and now we get our monthly dose of badass women writers and sugar rushes.
Well, it was when you guys started. It was just going to be a summer series.
Yeah.
It's going to be June, July, and August because we know that those months are slower and things like that. But
Yeah.
it just didn't stop. Just didn't stop.
I remember when I was like, when we got the green light, I was like, how are we going to do a whole summer of women writers? Like, and I think we, like, as a security blanket, booked ourselves to close out the series in August, or maybe it was September, and yeah, it was before school started. I remember people were like, there's no way we could juggle it with school and work, and it was, I just remember being like, how are we going to book a whole summer? How are we, and then who's going to come, and how are we going to maintain that momentum? And by the end of the series, it was full house. It was clear that there was a need for women to have a safe space to share their work, and it was like, we couldn't possibly have ended it then, because it was just like, it was so clear how important it was to have that kind of space. And so,
yeah, not just important for the community, but like we also needed it.
Oh my gosh. Some of you may have been here the other day on Friday when I broke down up here, and I am like as hard and tough as a rock when it comes to like crying, and I couldn't keep it together because it was exactly what I needed, and I needed it for so long, and it's so important. The same way why Black Panther is blowing the box office out of the water is that there's a strong need, and as soon as we satisfy, people are like, that's what I needed. I need more of this. And it's important to see ourselves on stage and hear our stories told, whether it's by us or by other people. And so it was like a release. I was like, oh my God, like,
It's very cathartic.
yeah, it was amazing. But yeah, I don't know what else to say.
I mean, in the early stages of Malvern books. All the readings are spectacular, but we just felt like we weren't seeing enough people like us on this stage, and we wanted to make a space for that to happen at least once a month. Even if it happened naturally on its own, we wanted to set aside this time once a month where it definitely happened, where we saw people like us up here.
Exactly. And a big part of this too is empowering women and, you know, having a space that's just for us to come up here and tell you about whatever our human experience is. And it can be something as simple as like a relationship we're in, to oppression, or like oppression that your mother and her grandmother have experienced, to getting a job you know, it can be anything, but women's experiences have just been so muffled and buried for so long that to just be like, this space on this night is reserved for us, and that's really empowering.
Well, that's great. You know, so what you expected out of this was to have young women, not only young women, because you had the older woman, what was her name? Had her book in here. It was really good. She was excellent, really good writer and things like that. She read, and you're very open, and it's a great experience. I feel it, you know, when I come and I see it. Sylvia Ann Murray.
Think about it for a second.
Was her name.
She's sadly no longer with us.
Yeah, but she read. She was always here. So, just on the more, just give us a little bit of, give me a little bit of an idea of what the structure of it is. I mean, everybody here knows, but you know, what happens during an ice cream?
So we make it a super comfortable space. I mean, we're serving ice cream when people walk in the door. We're playing, you know, really fun music. People come in, we give them a scoop of ice cream. We invite them to sign up for the open mic. We usually have about 5 to 6 open micers. It's an incredibly varied open mic. Annar always says it's the best open mic in town. We toot our own horn a little bit.
Yeah, but
I
I worked a few coffee shops when I first moved to Austin, and I also, like, when I first moved to Austin to come to St. Edward's, I was like, I mean, since I was 13, I am a poet. And that was me, like, after having suppressed my poetic self since, like, 2nd grade. Like, it's who I knew I was. So when I moved to Austin and had a little bit of liberty and freedom, I would go to open mics, and they were incredibly unwelcoming, especially to young women. They were oftentimes offensive. There was often, like, performance art that just kind of was, like, not very good, or kind of intimidating and, like, stressful. And then I worked a few coffee shops where we had open mics, and then we had to shut it down, like, every time. And so, you know, I made my rounds trying to find our people. And I guess eventually along the lines, I was like, I guess we just tell our people where to find us at some point. But I do think it's the best open mic, and we've had to make some modifications to make sure that the audience we're trying to appeal to, and the kinds of writers we'd like to have featured, had more of an opportunity to come to the series and share their work. So we have limited it to being for women only, whereas in the past we had it open to everyone.
And then following the open mic, we featured 3 women writers. So we had the open mic was the space for everyone, and then we feature women. And for a long time that definitely worked. It worked for us, but as our audience grew, our open mics started to become dominated by men. And so unfortunately we had to make that decision so that we could, you know, strike the tone that we originally wanted, which is that this is a space for marginalized voices.
Exactly, and that's, you know, that's what's so fun about it, is that you see you see readers and performers that you don't see at, other venues and other open mics and things like that. And it's just the space just feels much less tense, much less, anxiety ridden than a regular open mic.
It's hard to be stressed when you're eating ice cream.
I know. I
That's
feel like
true.
the sugar rush definitely gives everyone warms them up a little to try new things.
Cold ice cream.
Yeah.
So ice cream has been around for about 2.5 years now, and I just was wondering if you guys could tell me, maybe one or two of your favorite ice cream stories.
Oh gosh.
So we have, because it's monthly, we have certain themes that we hit.
Oh yeah.
And I know every time a new theme comes up, I'm like, it's my favorite, it's my favorite. But the Halloween ones
Yeah,
are always a lot of
absolutely.
fun. And I know the first couple of years,
Well, the Halloween ones you get in costumes.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, the first couple of Halloween ones, we'd only have one or two people. Rachel dresses
Always
up,
comes out.
always.
Thank you.
But then we it. Sometimes our audience reminds me of myself as a child, where I'm deriving enjoyment from things, but I don't really want to participate. But it's get in a costume and win prizes, and everyone's like, we like knowing there's prizes, but don't want to dress up. And it's come with the spirit. But I think people appreciate our enthusiasm. But I don't know. It's hard to choose a favorite. I like the holiday ones too.
Yeah,
the
the
ugly
sweater.
sweater parties. But
This last ice cream social, we featured a youth organization called Speak Peace, and one of the coordinators and teaching artists sang. We have never had anyone sing, but she sang her piece, and that was marvelous. That was a first, and maybe because it's the most recent thing, it's what
Yeah,
first came to
it
mind.
was such a powerful, the
Yeah.
one Friday night was so powerful.
Yeah.
So, having been around for a couple of years,
Mhm.
you're going to celebrate by doing what?
eating ice cream.
No.
Wrong answer.
Ice cream.
Yes, that's the wrong answer. What are you doing to celebrate?
So, when we had our 2-year anniversary party last June, yes, June?
Yeah.
Was it June? Yes. We announced that we were going to take all the featured artists from the first 2 years and invite them to contribute to an anthology.
A print
A
anthology,
print
a
anthology
real book.
of ice cream social writers. And Joe, through his publishing company, was kind enough to agree to publish it.
So, how's that coming along?
So I think this whole interview is like a secret ploy for Joe to
Yeah.
light a fire under us. So we had talked about doing an anthology, or not an anthology specifically, but we had talked about starting a zine, a regular publication, something ice cream social related that would be in print, on and off since we started the ice cream social. And then the idea sort of fell by the wayside as our lives got busy. And then one of my coworkers here, Fernando, actually, was just one day, when my life was pretty not busy. It was the middle of summer. I was between classes and stuff. He's just you should do an anthology. And I'm like, oh my god, it's the perfect time. And then we started it, and then classes started again, and it no longer was the perfect time. So things have been a little delayed, but we have some amazing contributions. We have an amazing body of work.
So about how many contributions will there be?
Oh gosh, I want to
I'm
say
thinking-
60
Yeah.
writers,
Yeah.
and it's poetry, it's prose. We had
So each writer will give one piece?
it was 3 pages of text or less.
Okay.
And then we also had, one year during South by, we had a band play. And
My
we-
friend Jessie.
Yeah, the Please Please Me, she submitted some lyrics. So it's a very varied draft. And so we're working on compiling the draft for the designer. And we're hoping things will, I
Be
don't know
smooth
how long it
sailing
takes to
after
print
that.
a
Yeah.
Joe.
No, not very, not very.
But that's the thing. It's because ice cream is a constant in our lives, and it resurfaces every month, and it's like, I feel like it's always on the back of my mind, and every single thing that I do, it's like ice cream social is in 21 days, ice cream social is in 20, like, you know, it's like brush my teeth, ice cream social, like, it's always there. But it's really exciting to like have something that's going to show how amazing our readers are, and kind of like showcase our efforts for the past couple of years. It's insane that this is almost a 3-year-old project, and that it's not even, you know, us, you know, just us. It's so community oriented, and, you know, we're fortunate to have been able to host it for the past, you know, almost 3 years. But it's like, you know, it's gonna be, it's its own thing. It has a life of its own. It brings its own crowd. And so we're really excited to give this gift to the world and make it happen.
I think I'd be excited if it was living and breathing. The book itself was in my hands before the 3-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
I feel like that's a reasonable goal.
When's that anniversary?
June.
June?
Next week.
One of our contributors.
Yeah. But yeah, I think.
So I think you guys brought something along that from the anthology that you
Yeah.
might want to share with us.
Yeah, so we have a few poems that we thought sort of, you know, we have like relationships with these poets, and thought and because it's multiverse, we picked only poems for this event. But there's just such a wide variety of work in the anthology itself. So this is just like a teaser of one genre. Yeah. So do you want us to like read them all?
Please, read them all, and then we'll do a little Q&A.
Okay, cool. So I'll read one. Okay, so this one is it's really fun. It's from Caitlin Kelly. Y'all might know her of Bat City Review. She's just an awesome person. She's also gonna borrow my button maker tomorrow. Y'all didn't even know that. Okay. Hill City, South Dakota. If Jesus is my co-pilot and my third boob is an avocado, then the man with the custom t-shirt, pussy-eating demon, has reason for being here in Wayno's mid-century rental in South Austin with 10K and Rob on a Saturday night, going round with the wine and fish and pipe and projecting onto me all of the potentials as to why he's divorced, with kids, and taking kung fu for an added boost of whatever he's not getting in this circle. If the mangy moose is both a dog and a bar, and Hill City is really a valley, then I was justified in wanting to bleed in bourbon all over the cowgirls' room stalls, because that night was a real goodbye from years spent half being lost in the woods with no flashlight, and no food, and a river that can turn itself off and on. And by the transitive property of friends and family, half-price sales being the equivalent of my inability to learn quill work, that's what pussy eating was getting at all along. This idea that maybe what we lose makes us meatheads or lonely or just old, and we have to find that dog, have to play the tambourine all night, if it means that the mangy moose won't move out of Hill City like we all did the next day, fire alarms and bells and whistling. If a second grader points to my house and asks, "Is that Miss Kate's, 8 months after I'm gone?" then, well, there it is. Kate Kelly, everybody. She is spectacular.
Yes, I'm so grateful for Kate, and she does so much for the community that, you know, I'm just so happy that she's a part of the ice cream family.
Yeah.
Absolutely, is a fierce writer. So I'm going to share with you guys a piece by Blake Lee Pate. And I've known Blake for about almost 4 years, maybe a little bit more. And she's been a huge part of shaping me as an artist and me as a writer, with book recommendations, with her press, which is Smoking Glue Gun. And I remember the day I read this piece she sent over. I was sitting outside of a coffee shop and my heart like pounded as I finished this, and I just couldn't believe that we had the honor of getting to publish this piece. And I immediately like texted her and was just like, oh my God, thank you so much for this amazing gift. And of course, I'm so inclined to share it with y'all today. Some months ago, I undressed myself of you like the body of a reptile in the street. I burst open and am flattened, writing love notes to the earth on my belly. I appear and disappear, a bulb of blood seeping out of my hole and into my panties, torched sex in the cush landscape. A man says how pretty, some blue and some red, and I wonder when I lost control of my own beauty, or just quit caring. My vocal cords have grown nodules, my ovaries cysts. I cannot cast your spells anymore. I can only shovel dirt into my mouth and fashion a tiny grave in my scratched up throat. Too, I knit a soft coffin there for you. Don't worry if you can't hear my funeral song from here. Anyway, I sing it for me. You see, I know what the earth takes in. It crushes, and one day spits out a diamond.
I love Blake. She's got blue hair now.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
awesome.
got blue hair.
She was going for purple, but I think the universe chose the right color for her. And then I wanted to close out with this poem by Alana Torres. Alana was like part of our very first ice cream social.
The very first one.
And not only is this like poem, I feel like super in the spirit of ice cream social, but it just like reminds me of the fact that one of the greatest gifts of ice cream is just like how many like friends we've made. Like I didn't know Alana before this, and now like we still hang out with her from time to time. She'll go to the movies with us, or just come to ice cream social. Like she embodies this sense of community that we wanted, and so I'm gonna close out with her poem. Poets reporting for duty. Here are the new missions: invert sky and ocean, alter the firmament, replace bear and cup with constellations of octopus and right whale. Row your boat through damp cloud guts, fling your candy floss nets down through the ionosphere. Gather a few stars, now small as clams. Steam them until they open at the edges, whistling codes of salt and sand. Write as much as you can, but pretend a destination unexpected. Marry the city planner for Candyland. Practice sacrifice with a gumdrop heft. If not Vongle from clam stars, then be a good daughter and use your own sugar-dusted flesh. Answer: can the sky octopus unscrew a jar lid? Does Candyland provide dental?
So good.
I have to say that I've been to a lot of open mics around Austin, around the country and things like that. You're not going to hear poems like that at a lot of open mics. I don't think that women feel comfortable expressing themselves that way, that openly, that freely at a typical, which is a pretty male-dominated force of an open mic. It's a lot of testosterone in those things usually, and so that's a real gift that ice cream has brought us. And those three poems really show, what they are and what the possibilities are. So I wanted to just open this up, see if you guys had any questions to ask Annar and Schandra about ice cream, or about the anthology, or about poetry in general.
Please, no math questions.
No math questions.
And I won't tell you my social security number
I already tried.
I have a short question.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever screamed at ice
I don't think so.
cream?
I'm like-
2.5 years?
Internally screaming all of the time. But I think I've been able to control myself pretty well.
I guess Jessie sang real loud.
Yeah, actually, you know what? We did scream because, well, we shouted. She invited us to all shout, fuck you, right?
I don't remember that.
And I remember, like, we're all like,
Is this on video?
I think so. Because she has a song, and I remember being like, we can't swear in here. It's like our family home. And so it's like, we can't be bad. Like, but then people felt compelled. But
I just said pussy eating demon. So
I know, yeah. we really
came out of our shells.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's opened me up to a whole new world that I never expected.
There are more ice cream flavors than you know out there.
There are. And we have vegan ice cream
Oh, yeah,
at
that's
the ice
Yeah.
cream socials.
We try to be as inclusive and at the same time kind of exclusive. But
Unfortunately, we don't have sugar-free ice cream for you.
yeah, I mean, I can bring Halo Top, but like, if y'all have been to an ice cream, like, Schandra and I are just like really sweaty for no reason. I mean, I guess I can speak for myself, but like,
I could never tell. I
Yeah.
could never be able to tell.
we're like, where's the consent form? And now, like, because when we started doing this, it was the two of us that worked, and occasionally we had an extra hand. But now, like, I think Malvern is prepared. Like, they'll have everyone on staff. Like, the other night it was 2 or 3 people and Joe and us and like 6 people to maintain like a room full of like women that are like forces, you know, maybe that helps. But
Yeah, I think we
Forces
got
of
it now.
sugar.
We figured it out.
Yeah, it's down to a nice rhythm and things like that. I'm the eternal optimist who never sees anything end. So where do you guys see
We were just-
ice cream heading and going, and what kind of readings would you like to have that we haven't had? Or,
That's
that
two
we've
different
had that you want to
questions,
have?
Yeah, so
I'm
first
like,
part.
okay, first
No, just
question.
where we headed.
So- we haven't even talked about this, so I hope you feel the same way.
I know we were just talking about this last time. Anyways, go ahead.
Maybe. No, okay, so sincerely, okay. So everyone here kind of knows my future adventures and, what I'm passionate about and where I see myself in the next few years. But I have to be really sincere, is this last reading reinvigorated my passion for ice cream to the next level, where I could really see the impact that we have on the community and the power that we have. And, I'm really thinking that we need to, we did talk about this a little bit, is to work with the community on a larger scale and make sure that the voices that we want to see empowered are lifted up and have an opportunity to share their work on our stage. And, but I am like bursting with ideas and excitement. And it's not to say that the series has lulled, but I just felt so connected with everyone this last time that it has kind of, I don't know, reinvigorated me and inspired me so deeply.
Yeah, we definitely want to have more readings where we are teaming up with local nonprofits or youth organizations and giving them a space that they may not already have to come up here and read and be a part of, to sort of cross-pollinate our communities. But then to answer the first part of the question, not giving away any specifics, neither of us are going to be in Austin forever. And I think there's no doubt in our minds that should one of us move there would be somebody that we would ask to replace them.
Exactly.
And then wherever they go, an ice cream social would pop up there. Like, I would not be surprised if there were
I'm ready for
nationwide
this. Yeah,
ice cream
this
socials
is
in
a
the
global
future.
entity. And that's exactly, with moving to LA or wherever the future will take me someday, I now know like how to build a community that I can serve and that can serve me and
Ice cream.
and
Ice cream's the answer.
and like after ice cream we'll all hang out, and it's amazing because despite being like a compassionate and nice and a warm person, like having friends that like I really love. I am a really nice
You are a
person.
really nice person.
Um,
Own it.
Yeah.
She's so nice.
But I wouldn't connect with people on a level that now I have, like people that I genuinely care and love and adore because of this community that we built. And then the best part is seeing those people meeting each other in this room, and then, they go and have dinner together, or they create a friendship that, is like they can sustain outside of ice cream, and they create a network of people that they can trust and that love them too. And so now I know, like, wherever either of us land, we know how to, if ice cream is a part of that, and we create another ice cream in another city, or whether it's just creating a community, like we know how to do that. We know what tools, we know how to identify what communities aren't being satisfied that we want to be a part of. And so I definitely am really excited to see what ice cream as an entity creates for itself. But yeah, it's like a living, breathing organism. It's almost a toddler, like, I guess it is a toddler.
It's terrible too.
Yeah.
Yeah, terrible too.
And that's, I think what's so great about it is whether it's our faces on the brand or not, like it can really stick up for itself, and it can really maintain and sustain itself, which is really exciting. And you couldn't be more proud than to like give birth to something that can pay its own rent and
Walking around.
Yeah.
Going to college.
Yeah. It took that too far.
Buy us some ice cream. No, it does. It does buy its own ice cream now.
Oh, yay.
Does
Yeah.
it? I thought you buy it.
No, but it pays for it. That's what I mean.
I see.
We the bottom line hardcore part of this that I talk about is people buy books when they come to ice cream. They buy poetry books, they buy fiction, they buy women writers that they wouldn't have before. And
Yeah.
that helps my store. That helps my store stay open and,
And it
allows
helps
us to have the community.
It helps the writers too,
Yeah.
that are maybe going unnoticed.
Yeah.
That, Malvern is so great at giving a space for. You're not going to see a lot of these books on other bookshelves in other stores.
All right. Do you have a question?
Yeah. For the anthology, are you including art, drawing, photography, things like that? If so, could you talk about that a little, or?
We
It's
are.
okay if not.
No,
Sorry.
it's a really good question. Like, one of the things I thought about is that it might be cool to include some of the flyers, but I think ultimately, we want to give as much space to the contributors. But for the cover art, it's kind of cool. One of the writers, right after she read for Ice Cream Social, posted on Instagram this adorable doodle. She's a designer. She makes like these really great cards. She made like literary valentines this February that were so cute. But anyway, she drew this adorable illustration of the stage, and like if you haven't, I think everyone here has been to Ice Cream Social, but if you haven't, for the video, if you haven't been to Ice Cream Social, we blow up these like ice cream shaped balloons and have like a banner that says Ice Cream Social. She drew this illustration of the stage with all of our decorations up, and I think we're going to use that as our cover art. So it's really cool to get to to have something like that that was made by somebody who's also one of our writers.
And that's the thing, is like a lot of our contributors and a lot of the people that we feature on the stage aren't only writers. They dabble in like in everything, in science, in art, and you know, they're still students or they're teaching, and it's so exciting to kind of, you know, see all of that. But Laura Cray is who we've reached out to help us with the cover art, because she's a fantastic illustrator, which is really exciting.
That's so true, though. It's like we were talking earlier about like how we created this because we wanted to see more people like us. But within that, you know, like us umbrella, there's so much variety of people. There's just from so many different backgrounds, so many different walks of life, and so many different talents and interests. So yeah, it's still like a super diverse community.
Do you have a question, Mike?
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you were only reading quotes from the anthology today, but that the format will be somewhat varied. What other content will the anthology have, and have you had any other unique performances at the ice cream event itself?
I always turn to you, I'm sorry.
Very like broad in genre. Like I was saying, we have, you know, lyrics from Jesse Teresi, we have poetry, we have fiction, we have prose, like that's not categorizable. It would fit in the other section. Yeah, so there's a pretty good variety. So what was the other part of your question? Oh, unusual performances here. Yeah, so like this last time we had somebody, it was a spoken word group, but one of the performers sang one of her pieces. And we've had plays. Yeah, Postparto. She had people come up to read some of her plays that she had written. We've had people read pieces of screenplays during the open mic.
And then just kind of like interactive elements in some of the meetings. Caitlin Kelly was very interactive, and kind of getting like the audience to participate. And it's really fun to see what different writers bring to the table, and what experience we're gonna have. And sometimes if someone's like running with the theme, they'll be sure to read work that coincides with the themes, and it's pretty, you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
Great.
I loved what Kate did. She brought these index cards and like surreptitiously, while we were serving ice cream, she was handing these out and saying, like, telling people to like write something about a woman who influenced them. And she collected them, and when it was her turn to read, before she read any of her work, she read off all these index cards. And I still have them, and I wish I had brought them because
It was such
so
a
cool.
powerful moment. To just, when she read that, it just completely, it was like it put this entire room in a bubble, and it created a tone that was really intense and like euphoric to feel. That's definitely one of the more unique ones that stick out.
Yeah, totally.
And then I really like what we did with Jesse's South by Southwest performance. Because it's like, you know, Austin just gets like just destroyed and leveled with music. and it was really fun to be like, oh my God, like you have a gig, and she had a performance later that night, and can you squeeze us in? And it was really exciting. But we don't get too much music in this space, so it's always like really exciting to just kind of change it up a little, for sure.
Then we had a screen printer. We had an artist who screen printed our
Oh
logo
yeah,
on
that
the
was
shirts.
a wonderful moment.
Yeah, she did it for, like, I was like, how much do you need us to pay you? She's like, I'll do it for free, and I'll donate tips to whatever organization you want. She's like, Natalie Bradford, look up her art. It's really cool. She makes pins. They're awesome. Yeah, we're doing a lot of name plugging because we just love these people so much.
People have been so generous it begins with the space that Malvern has been so gracious to share with us, because it is important. It's the same with like when you're when I know I thrive when I have consistency and comfort and safety, and ice cream definitely is allowed to thrive because we know that we've got a space here every month, and it's always on the same day every month, and all we have to do
Sometimes we vary, but.
all we have to do is make sure that our end of things is all set, and it's so important for us that that exists. And then other people, like even with our readers saying yes, like I am reminded every month that people don't have to say yes. They can say no, they can say not right now, or they can just not respond. And it takes a lot of courage for you to prepare and to show up and to come in and to read, and everybody gets the jitters, and it's like to put yourself through that is always a gift. And so I'm always very like gracious that people agree to share their work with us, especially if they haven't met us before or aren't familiar with the space. But yeah, we've been so fortunate with having amazing readers and people donating their services, and it's been really good for us.
All right, well, if nobody has any more questions, I think we can adjourn to snacks. Thank you very much.